at a place called Tomorrow's Rainbow out in Coconut Creek. They help grieving children in Broward County through animal-assisted therapy. And I was so taken by what these people were doing that I felt absolutely compelled to help. So afterwards, I went to meet with the founder, whose name was Abby, and I said to her, "What do you guys need? How can I help?" And she said to me, "What we need is $25,000 to hire a full-time clinician because we're bursting at the seams." There were 20,000 children in Broward County alone who were going through the grieving process. So in my excitement, I looked at her squarely and I said, "Abby, leave it to me, consider it done," I said confidently, never having raised a single cent in my life. But I was excited to help. And so I left and got in my car, and reality started to sink in. I was like, oh my word, what have I done? I've overcommitted. I've never raised a cent in my life. And so on Wednesday, I stood behind this podium. A speaker had canceled, and I took advantage. And I related my visit to Tomorrow's Rainbow, and embarrassingly stated how I'd overpromised and how I had no idea how to raise $25,000, and asked if there was anyone in the room that had a suggestion, an idea, or was willing to help in any way possible. I felt a little bit hopeless. And then, as I got back to my seat, I was surprised to find a little pile of those paper notes that we often write to each other after speeches. And as I started to open them, one said, "I'd love to join." Another one, "How can I help you?" The third one, "Count me in." And all of a sudden, not only was there light at the end of the tunnel, but the tunnel was showered in light. I was so excited and happy. So we started meeting in this very room after Toastmasters meetings once a week. Our goal was to raise $25,000 in 3 months. How? We had no idea. But we sat in this room and we started brainstorming. And each of the meetings were filled with laughter, with fun. We shared ideas. We came up with great ideas. We named the project the Hope Floats Project. And we decided to do a family and children's event on the New River. And as you can see in the picture in the far bottom corner, we found this picture in a European magazine of a huge paper boat that could hold a human being. We decided we were going to build a 22-foot paper boat and sail it on the New River. Again, we had no idea how. So we started with speeches, and we gave them lots of speeches to everyone and anyone who would listen at any occasion. And what happened is we started getting volunteers, and those volunteers spoke for us, and in turn they got volunteers. And before we knew it, we had a strong army of volunteers with the biggest hearts and willing to play the biggest game possible. So we started building the boat. We had a prototype and a pig to start off with. That's how we started. And it was a lot of work. It was a lot of folding, a lot of designing, a lot of taping pieces together. And it didn't always work. Actually, boat after boat just sank in the water and turned into a big pile of paper mache mush. But we continued, and we were unstoppable. And so we tried different materials, different papers, a first attempt, a second attempt. We worked at it tirelessly, sometimes even throughout the night. And it was exhausting, but still we pressed on. And finally, we came upon the product called Tetra Pak. It was genius. And so we folded a boat out of Tetra Pak that was waterproof, and all of a sudden, one night, we had a boat that could not only float, but could also hold a human being, just barely. We were safe. It was such a relief. Now on the side, while we were building the boat, we had other volunteers who were marketing, helping with event planning, sponsors, ticket sales, the website, vendors, performers. And the meetings became so exciting. Each meeting, weekly meeting, was an occasion to celebrate the wins that like each volunteer had had during the week, and celebrate them we did, and acknowledge them we did. And every single meeting became exciting because of that. And this project belonged to everyone. It was beautiful. On the day of the event, it poured with rain, but we were unstoppable. We got out, set up the tents, the tables, the ponies, the bounce houses. We got it all ready. And as the event started, the clouds parted and the sunshine came through. It was beautiful. All of a sudden, the park was filled with families and children having fun. There were Toastmasters, there were paper boats. There was a section where people could decorate boats with the names of loved ones that we would then later sail into the river. And then at sunset, we sailed the paper boats along with our large 22-foot paper boat. And with everyone standing on the water's edge and with Amazing Grace playing in the background, we launched the paper boats into the river. There were tears in people's eyes. There were tears in people's eyes. It was a beautiful day of joy and also of healing. And finally, we thought we'd done it. But no, we hadn't. We tallied up the amount, and at the end of the day, we were $1,200 short. It was such a bittersweet victory. And so that was it. The next day, we waited, thought of ideas on how to raise the additional funds. And then a call came from Kathleen. She was in charge of sponsorships and fundraising. 2 more checks had arrived in the mail, one for $1,000 and another one for $800. We had exceeded our goal by $600. Finally, we had done it. And so the goal of the project was to really make it operational and set it up in such a way that it worked. Okay. And then we were to remove our names from it and hand it over to someone else to continue it on into the future, which is what we did. We handed it over to Abby Moshe, who is the founder of Tomorrow's Rainbow, and she continued it into the years. So now 6 years later, the project has become the annual signature event. The annual signature event for Tomorrow's Rainbow has raised in excess of $200,000 for the organization. And that is what brings us here today. This is what the paper boat looks like now. It's shaped up really nicely. So the moral of the story for this evening is if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, join a Toastmasters group. Mr. Toastmaster.